What if if Leo is in LCU, at the end, Ajit shows up as a character? Ajit versus Vijay. I've heard this so many times. The fans are always, arguing against each other on different social media. And I always wondered, why is there this rivalry? And we actually have a video by Film Companion South telling us the origin of Indian cinema's biggest rivalry. If you haven't seen the original video, I'll put the link in the description. You can check it out. So let's get to know. What's the deal all about?
On December 24, during the audio launch function of Vijay's latest movie Varisu, Thalapathy Vijay began his speech in signature style. In what has become an annual mega event, his speeches come with a Kutti story that includes some form of advice that his fans may choose to use or refuse. With the stars increasing in accessibility, these speeches have practically become his only live interaction with the public, and they often take the form of a...
I think some interview happened and he didn't like it, and from there on he stopped giving interviews. I think something like that happened. Let me know in the comments.
Message from his heart to theirs. Yet this particular speech seemed different for other reasons. It ended with him directly thanking his fans for their social work, especially their efforts in blood
This is the best part of fandom, any fandom.
donation.
Right use of fandom.
But the biggest message came in the form of a motivational punchline, with him declaring,
"Compete with yourself. Only that will make you better. Be your own competition."
As straightforward as this may sound, the nature in which he arrived at that statement requires a little bit of decoding, especially if you're unfamiliar with Tamil cinema's biggest rivalry. In his speech, he said, "Back in the 90s, an actor came along who became my competition. He soon became my more serious competitor, and in the fear of him getting ahead, I kept trying harder and kept growing taller. He is one of the reasons I remained focused, and it is this competition that made sure I grew." The name of that competitor is Joseph Vijay.
And the போட்டியாளரின் பெயர் Joseph Vijay.
For those who follow Tamil cinema, it is as clear as day that these lines would work a lot better if you find and replace the name Joseph Vijay with that of Ajith Kumar, an actor who came into cinema.
So he said his own name, but they say it's not his name, it was Ajith,
In the early 90s, just like Vijay did, and who remains at the peak of his superstardom, just like Vijay. If you are a cynic, you may believe that Vijay's statement discrediting the contribution of his rivalry with Ajith in his own success may be a bit like stoking the fire between two warring fan groups, especially when both their films are going to be released on the same day. But if you're a hopeless romantic, this is probably Vijay's secret way of thanking his colleague of over 30 years for raising the bar and for creating a rivalry so symbiotic that it has taken them to the top of the ladder.
So I'm guessing it's not they fighting or they had a big fight or something like that. I think it's just like a competition and fans made it into rivalry. That's my guess. Unless I'm wrong.
Even if it has come at the cost of several battles among fans and the overall quality of online discourse. But where did it all begin, and what does it mean to the industry when two of its biggest stars take on each other? More importantly, is this rivalry a media-created phenomenon, or has it been consciously constructed and cultivated by the stars themselves to keep their brand alive, even when they remain away from the limelight for months at a time? Let's try to analyze. The Arambam. For anyone born in the 90s or after, it is probably impossible to imagine a time before the Vijay versus Ajith phenomenon. The process of swearing one's allegiance to either of these superstars begins at an early stage. And this is often the influence of older siblings, cousins, or friends, fueled by the desire to be part of a group and to feel like you belong. The myth-making that goes into these initiation sessions contribute a lot to create a fan for life. Which means, if you see yourself as someone who loves racing, bikes, or photography, you're more suited to fit into the Ajith fan persona. And if you're generally a family person with a love for dancing and music, you might gravitate towards the Vijay fan archetype. These broad generalizations become a tad more specific when you add qualities like self-made and brave to Ajith and charismatic and witty to Vijay. For instance, apart from religiously watching their films on screen, you might have also heard legendary accounts of how Vijay is an equally big superstar in neighboring Kerala and how his film Gilli became an all-time blockbuster at a time when only Rajini or Kamal Hassan's films could claim that distinction. On the other end are the equally compelling rumors about Ajith. Despite the success of his films being relatively different from that of Vijay's, there were once talks about Ajith charging exactly ₹1 more than Vijay no matter the outcome of his previous release.
Okay.
Ajith is said to be able to do this because he came to own the moniker
Again, it's rumors, or it's just, people have based things on what they've heard or something. It's not like a real deal of proven thing.
the king of openings, a sign of intense loyalty from his die-hard fans with a kind of stardom that is bigger than the film's director, the quality of the trailer, or the verdict of his previous films. This
Okay.
market logic, where their screen presence matters more than the movie, is something both of them have been able to hold on to for close to 2 decades. This means
Alright.
a failure of 1 or 2 of their films don't really affect the increasing budget or the salary they charge for their next project.
Oh.
To understand how, you need to know how the fan thinks. Ramkumar became a Vijay fan after watching the action film Gilli. But it was not until
Okay.
Sura that he decided to become a member of one of Vijay's fan associations. An action film, Sura received bad reviews and was a flop. There will be many who stand
Okay.
with you when you're successful, the fanboy says, adding, but not many when you face defeat.
That's true.
I wanted to prove my loyalty to Vijay by becoming a member when he faced failure. Ram
Interesting.
Kumar, now 30, runs a mobile shop in Kanchipuram and has over 113,000 followers on Twitter, most
Whoa.
of whom are fellow Vijay fans. Barisar to the
Okay.
superstar. But when did
Alright.
this fan culture begin? According to producer and author G. Dhananjayan, he says, it all started in the late 90s and early 2000s. There was a time when Rajinikanth took a break after the failure of Baba in 2002 and his
Okay.
next release seemed years away. This was when Vijay and Ajith started delivering hits with movies like Thirumalai, Gilli, Deena and Bali, all in the commercial mass masala space. They were seen as the new generation replacements for the Rajini Kamal dominance, and the media too started building both
Even
of them
Rajni versus Kamal is also a big thing, right?
as the next superstars. The fact that their rivalry itself was being spoken about in the same breath as the legendary Kamal Rajani or the MGR Sivaji rivalry before that helped cement their place as the heir apparent to the top, even when other newer stars kept emerging. Industry tracker and journalist Sridhar Pillai adds, when you start playing massy hero characters, you become superheroes. Everyone tries to do such films, but only a few can create a special place among fans, which you can later use
That's
to
true.
build a fan base. Their rivalry put them on a higher pedestal compared to other heroes, and their biggest plus was that they were compared
So the rivalry actually helped them become bigger stars because there was a cause people want to join, this side, that side. They are good actors, good films, cool, but they're good people, are fine. But people, there's more action there, right?
not just to each other, but also to Rajinikanth and Kamal Hassan. There was also a question of who will become the next Rajinikanth. While one set said Vijay, the rival said Ajith. This resulted in both of them blocking the biggest release dates of each year, and the budgets of their film kept getting
okay.
bigger. This set them apart from a star like Vikram, who was once a bigger star than both of them. But somewhere along the way, his stardom faded as he could not develop it into a thorough fan base. It's alleged that both Vijay and Ajith took special effort
But I would say Vikram has done more exciting and different and, like challenged himself, the kind of roles he has done.
to build their fan base, having
Especially now, not earlier days. I don't think I've seen earlier work of any of them. Mostly newer stuff.
spent a lot of time and money to build it up as a real organization. You cannot rule out that theory because a fan base has to be nurtured and cultivated. In
Okay.
MGR's case, it was his organization that later became a thriving political party. In due time, Ajith chose to dissolve all his fan clubs a little
Oh.
over a decade ago, reportedly disheartened by fans using his name in inappropriate contexts. He has also
Yeah.
taken a stance against online fan abuse, even if he isn't on any social media platform. Vijay, including his recent Thanksgiving at the audio launch, has embraced his stardom and is in no hurry to walk away from it. Vijay's name was prefixed with the title Ilaya Talapati, or the Young Commander, in his father's directorial Rasigan in 1994, and it is not
Okay.
impossible to see this appear during the film's opening credits. His fan associations too appear to be more organized, with regional leaders playing important roles before release. And in terms of political ambitions, the topic of Vijay taking the leap comes up more often, and this includes a case that is currently being fought when Vijay's father chose to start a political party of his own using the actor for face value. The Varalaru,
Okay.
History of Rivalries in Tamil Cinema.
I think they're using the movie titles, right, for each chapter.
According to actor and film historian Mohan Raman, Rivalries among Tamil actors and stars began even before cinema did. It's
Okay.
like how every story needs a confrontation, he explains, adding, when Tamil cinema began, it had the confrontation of two people who rose to the level of stars. There was M.K. Tyagaraja Bhagavathar and P.U. Chinnappa. These two guys
Okay.
set the balls rolling, even if MKT was ahead of Chinnappa in terms of fan following. But Chinnappa had a longer and stronger innings in films. This was the time when actors came to the cinema from the stage.
All right.
Nadagams too had rivalries, and it would be about whose drama was seen as best. This was there even when people like K. Balachandar and Sivaji Ganesan were on stage, since all of them came from plays. And then came a series of smaller stars who had a big hold.
All right.
There was M.K. Radha and then a number of smaller heroes until the time of MGR and Sivaji Ganesan. He adds, the beauty of the MGR and Sivaji period was that at the time of Sivaji's entry into films, the two stars were in the same political party, the DMK. So the rivalry was seen as a filmic rivalry on the lines of who's the better actor or star. Sivaji then shifted to Congress. So the rivalry was not only professional but also ideological. Another reason why rivalries are so interlinked with Tamil cinema history is because of the industry's lack of multi-starrers or multi-hero films. Mohan Raman explains, you never found a film like Amar Akbar Anthony here. This contributed to the notion
Multi-hero
that there
films.
was only one king in a film. And therefore, if I am the king of this kingdom, and if somebody else is the king of another kingdom, the two kingdoms have to clash at some point. In the north, Hrithik Roshan may act with Salman Khan, or Salman may do a part in a Shah Rukh Khan film. But that does not happen so often here. Kamal was an up-and-coming hero when Rajinikanth entered. And Rajinikanth entered as the villain, which we must remember. So it was not really an equal pairing then.
Okay.
For outsiders, it was obvious that these two people were close friends. They also came from the same school of K. Balachandar. Therefore, the rivalry never saw ugliness. Each fan ultimately knows that their stars know each other well. Kamal Hassan and Rajinikanth frequently appear on stage, including the recent audio launch of Ponniyin Selvan. They are seen exchanging words and wishing each other. So the acerbic nature of the conflict is not there. I am theorizing here, but sadly, because both Ajith and Vijay do not make many stage appearances, it also lends to interpretations and rumors. Even if both of them are constantly advised,
Like if they say like, okay, they're saying right, fans behave and all, but out they didn't go meet and hang out together. So that also I think adds to all these rumors.
their fans to behave, they're just preaching from the pulpit. How many times can you see Rajini and Kamal together on stage? Can you see those many videos featuring Vijay and Ajith together on stage?
They did show some pictures of them together in their early life.
Love Today.
Okay, so Love Today.
But what sets them apart from the many rivalries before is how theirs has completely
they are
moved on to
together.
the internet, especially on Twitter and Instagram. Back in the 2000s, around the time when these battles were just beginning, such issues were limited to a few physical altercations that happened in movie theaters, especially when their films released together. This was also the time when the stars themselves contributed what they could to keep these debates alive. Fans went ahead to connect the dots, observing an on-screen rivalry that seeped into dialogues and songs from their films. But since this was still before the social media age, it had to be done through their movies, with many instances of them referencing or suggesting a line or statement about their rival.
வாழ்க்கை ஒரு வட்டம்டா இங்க ஜெயிக்கிறவன் தோப்பான் தோக்குறவன் ஜெயிப்பான்
என் வாழ்க்கை ஒரு வட்டமோ சதுரமோ கிடையாது மேலையும் கீழையும் போயிட்டு வர எனக்கு அது நேர்கோடு தான்
No subs. Okay.
ஹிட்லர் வாழ்க்கையும் வேண்டாம் புத்தன் வாழ்க்கையும் வேண்டாம் உன்னை என்னை போல் வாழ்ந்தால் போதும் உலகம் ரொம்ப அழகு.
This isn't as common today, but Vijay's recent speech takes us back to an era when fans would wait for their stars to mouth a line or for a scene just for them to mock their rival. And if this wasn't a big enough issue then, it has more than multiplied as fan wars moved online almost entirely starting in the 2010s. Just like how you once needed to keep doing films or appearances to stay in the limelight, a star today needs to do that by maintaining a presence on social media. Sridhar Pillai says,
TikTok actor.
both of their fan followings are also probably the most up-to-date in terms of how relevant they are online. Earlier, competing fan clubs would spend money to place huge posters cutouts, and conduct Pal Abhishekams on release day. This is
Okay.
still a part of Tamil culture and this will not go away easily. But for that, you need a lot of physical labor and even more money. On social media, however, if you have a Facebook or a Twitter
That makes
account,
sense.
you can start your own fan base. And for the guy who runs it, he gets a personal kick out of the huge following he gains on social media. For such online operators, you may also make money orchestrating such attacks with many trolls that get paid. Like politicians have their own troll army, even stars need their own troll armies. This is
Okay.
not just limited to Ajith or Vijay, but even small actors have their own armies and fake accounts to praise and keep them in the news. But
That's true. I think even in today's day, that keeps happening.
today, fan
What's called PR.
groups online try to one-up each other often to create statewide or nationwide trends. This has resulted in many embarrassing hashtag wars that bring shame to both actors. Taken in another form, this is just an indication of the metric changing. If at one stage, the height of their superstars cutout decided who was bigger, this metric has now changed to include the total views for a new trailer.
Yeah, I'll keep saying this. Most liked in 1 hour, 2 hour, 24 hour. This many likes, this many views.
Opening collection, their superstar's current salary, and finally, how big a hit the film eventually became after its final run. Varisu versus Tunivu.
All right.
It is
For me, both, I've not seen both the films. I didn't hear good stuff about both of them. They were just, made for the fans to be happy. Nothing much as a good film or something.
with history and record that we reached the major Pongal clash of 2023 with Ajith Tunivu taking on Vijay's Varisu. Given that both their films are releasing together after 8 years, this clash builds up into a once-in-a-decade mega event that sets the tone for debates and arguments that will follow soon. The events and confusions leading up to just this single release day itself is interesting enough to warrant a show. With the powerful Red Giants pictures first choosing to side with Ajith Tunivu, the clash became bigger than the release of 2 movies. It was much
Okay.
later that the confusion got resolved when Red Giants themselves agreed to take up a smaller size of Varisu's distribution. Distributor Tirupur Subramaniam says, Vijay sir is releasing a film and Ajith sir is releasing a film, and all fans are going to watch it. That is all. There is no clash between Ajith and Vijay. Fans might clash on Twitter and Facebook, but when they meet in person, they don't really care about such rivalry. There is absolutely no issue when it comes to the screen split up between these actors and their films. The screens are now in the process of being confirmed and there is no problem. We are going to split the screens equally. With both
Okay.
releases shifting to Wednesday from the earlier announced Thursday, this screen splitting exercise is going to be much harder than it sounds. If both
Okay.
stars are looked at as kings, their clash also means that it's time for soldiers of both their kingdoms to take on each other. Well, at least virtually. With star power taking precedence over the film, a clash like the one on 11th of January is when new battle lines are going to be drawn, with the result culminating in a new number 1 in Tamil cinema. In a week's time,
Okay.
we will know, but not without countless online fan fights. Until then, we're back to the movie business's biggest chicken or egg conundrum. Did the rivalry make them superstars? Or is it their superstardom that resulted in the rivalry?
So that was quite a video. I would say it was not very factual based. It was more about interpreting what has happened. And making your opinions about it. Depending on certain things which are not actual facts. So but still it made sense. The conundrum, right? The question, chicken or the egg? They became superstars because of the rivalry, or does it really happen because they became superstars? Who knows? And I think I was just wondering, watching this, what if in LCU, in Leo, if Leo is in LCU, at the end Ajith shows up as a character? Oh, I think biggest film it will become of Tamil cinema easily. I don't know. What do you guys think? Can it happen? Will it happen? There's a possibility. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. This was like a history lesson for me. Got to know a bit about Tamil cinema and this culture of, hero worshipping that has happened and how that has led to rivalries. But for Kamal Hassan and Rajnikant, it didn't happen that much. But how in today's world it has changed a lot. What do you think? Do let me know in the comments below. And then you can check out this video next, and I'll see you next time.